What is going on? Welcome to the Sync Producer Spotlight. My name is Jason Dowty. If this is the first time you're watching one of these, basically what we do is we're all part of a community called the Sync Producer Hub. It's run by Anthony Clint Jr., and we are music creators, music producers, artists, all of those types of people, and we're getting our music into TV and film. And every 2 weeks or so, we like to shine the spotlight on one of our members to find out what their journey is, what they're doing so far with Sync Music, and all of that. So I'm really excited today. Last about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I heard some really cool music from our guest today, Michael DJ Heat Humphrey, and Philip Scott Bailey, who we had last time in the spotlight, recommended that he does the show. So I invited him on. We were talking a little bit beforehand. We're just going to go over where he's from. He's a little earlier in his sync journey, so we're going to find out what he's done so far and then what he plans to do. So without further ado, let me bring him on. What is going on, Michael?
Hey, what's happening?
Not much, not much. I see you got the Wu-Tang represented behind you there.
Oh, so man, the biggest fan. Ain't nobody a bigger fan than me.
Okay. All right. Well, let's
Just
start
kidding.
let's start there. Oh, you're just kidding?
I mean, as far as I know, there are people that are bigger, but you were about to say let's start there.
Yeah, sure.
So okay, so pretty much, you got to know I actually grew up in Compton, California. So by default, my favorite rap group would be NWA. That's by default.
Mhm.
But equally so, Wu-Tang is there. And the reason why I will put them up there just as equal to them. First of all, NWA doesn't have enough discography, first of all. But Wu-Tang Clan, because of the style of music that me and a group of my friends were doing back in the day, uh oddly enough, resemble what Wu-Tang was doing, though we were from the West Coast.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're showing your age, and I'm about to show my age with it, because you're talking about
Right,
NWA. That's 80s. That's even going back to the 80s, like late 80s, early 90s. That's when
right,
all of that was hitting.
right.
Um, yeah. So, what drew you to Wu Tang? What made you like? Because I know a lot. The West Coast was doing their own thing. New York was doing its own thing. And East Coast. What drew you to that type of? Because that's more, a little bit more on the boom bap side. What drew you over there?
And that's exactly what it was right there. That style. So, like you said, given our age, I was alive before hip hop started. So when Rappers Delight hit the radio in Los Angeles, we were like, what the heck is this dude talking over Good Times by Chic? Somebody's just talking. And he's talking for like 15 minutes. Then you start to listen to it. It's like, wait a minute, he's syncopated with the beat. Oh, that's rap music, right?
Mhm.
So our journey into hip hop on the West Coast was everybody had to learn Rapper's Delight. Not only did they had to learn that, they had to learn Christmas rapping by Curtis Blow.
Yeah.
All these songs were like
Okay.
15 minutes long at least. We were kind of used to that because of the stuff Parliament was doing and Funkadelic.
Mhm.
So with that being said, when I started doing music, I started DJing in 1983, trying to be like my big brother, who's 5 years older than me, who was kind of running around with DJ Yella from NWA. So they know each other. And so trying to be like him, I started DJing and things of that nature. But what had always attracted me was those kicks and those snares. Uh, they just had to hit for whatever reason. Now I didn't know early on I was being conditioned for boom bap. Uh, and so even with that being said, what kind of made us do music like Wu-Tang, what a lot of people don't know, early West Coast used to sample from break records before they started playing their music. And now that I think about it, it's even intriguing to even understand how break records got over to the West Coast, because that's all the East Coast artists used to do was sample from break records. Uh, uh, and so there was this swap meet in California called the Rhodium. And if people are fans of Dr. Dre and Easy and all of that, they mentioned it in their early music, where we all used to go to get music from. And that's where the break records landed. So being that there was an SP1200 in our group, that's the first machine I ever learned how to produce on. No 909s, no Lindrums, no 808s, and none of that. I jumped right onto the SP1200 and like, what in the world is this? With the dudes that showed me how you putting floppies inside of a machine, and wait a minute, I could save a beat to that. That's just unreal. But and so we sampling all these records and old funk, old jazz, all that type of stuff. And so the using the drum sounds and things of that nature, we was already naturally making boom bap. But what started happening on the West Coast is Dr. Dre employed two guitarists, a bass player and a guitarist, standing guitar man and Bacon, and he started playing his music. When he did that, that changed everything on the West Coast. Now you got DJ Quick, now you got Battle Cat, you got DeMizza, you got all these people now that because Dr. Dre did it, this is the way to go. And so sampling actually became a thing of the past on the West Coast. And there's a whole nother story about how we were right there in the midst, about to get record deals. And then when that transition came, it was just like, nah, y'all got to do like Dr. Dre and them. And if you don't, you know, you're going to be lost in the mix. So the only real groups that was still kind of sampling and putting stuff out was Low Profile, the Alcoholics, those type of people, with those type of beats, but they were signed to Loud Records and, and things of that nature. So it's a funny thing. It's political for sure. But that's kind of my start there.
That's awesome. Well, talk about your own personal journey. Like, where did you start in music? What did you start doing? Did you work with any artists? Like, what'd you do?
So and I say we were our own rap group. I was part of a rap group. Okay, let me back this up a little bit. I got drafted into a rap group. There was this cat that ran around my neighborhood. So of course everybody will kind of know I grew up in the city of Compton. I grew up off of a street called Rosecrans. You heard a lot of rappers refer to that street. So my street smacked right into Rosecrans. So I can go up to Rosecrans and go to a liquor store and play my video games. My daddy would give me 50 cents and I'm gone for 8 hours because I was a master at asteroids and Pac-Man. So I'm in there. And he would come in there. He found out I was a DJ. He would come in there all the time. Man, you need to be part of our group. We called the Guest Boys. And I'm like, well, why you called the Guest Boys? Because they wore jeans, the Guest jeans. So, okay. So, all right, man, whatever. And he kept on harassing me for about 6 months. And he got my phone number and he called me. So I went to the east side of Compton and met these guys. So all I was supposed to do was just be a DJ in this group. That's it. And I'm good with that. I can scratch on the record, go home, do whatever I got to do. That's it. And so the two main guys in the group were both producers, and they taught me how to use the SP1200. So as far as working with artists, we were working with our own selves, trying to get record deals. That's what we were trying to do. I didn't really start working with other artists until I started doing Christian hip hop, which is a whole nother story. There's a whole nother, I got on each side, I got stories on each side. And so that's when I started, we made a record. I was part of a group called Disciples of the Most High. And we made a EP in 2001 and then a full album in 2004. And they're both found on CD Baby. That's where my ultimate boom bap style, you can find it on those two projects. The only thing I've ever released in my life. That's it. Then within that, the only other thing I've really done with other artists is scratched on records. I really haven't produced anybody and they're out there and you can say, hey, there's DJ Heat's production. I don't have that in my repertoire, because I was just that kid. I just wanted to scratch on your record, pay me my little $50. I'm fine. That's it,
That's
Now,
awesome. Go ahead.
Now,
Yeah.
as far as me getting to where I am now, so here it goes. Throughout the years, I started off in like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there, using Reason, right? And so that first album actually is I use Reason and I MIDI'd in the SB 1200. Um, and I use Sonar to put everything in. And so that album, I produced it. You know, four other guys. We were all doing our Christian rap thing. I was even rapping on there. I produced and I scratched on a few records on there as well. And so we did that. And so you're talking about before internet. You're talking about before MySpace. So in California, we running up in churches trying to do this Christian rap, and they like, man, we ain't trying to hear that. Y'all get up out of here, you know. And it was like that. It was hard. Then there were some churches that understood what we was doing, but it was hard for us. And so you really won't hear anything about Christian rap until you start hearing about Cross Movement, 116, and Lecrae. They came later, and so they kind of made it nationally known. Although you had predecessors like Idol King, the Gospel Gangsters, T-Bone, the Dynamic Twins. You had a whole lot of people that pretty much pioneered and laid the footwork for that Christian hip hop stuff. So now to get to where I am now, every year I would make like one beat and be happy with that. Just like, you know, I'm cool. I'm doing my thing. Now I'm doing mix shows. I'm really on my DJ side, doing a lot of stuff on that side, not really producing until 2021. I'm sitting now, we at home because of COVID, and I'm sitting behind my computer, and my wife she asked me this question. She said, why don't you do your music anymore? Now, those of us that are married, we know when the wife asks us a question, sometimes that's a statement. Why don't you do your music anymore? Right. And then from there, something just jumped in me, right? And I started pulling out old beats and I started working on stuff and things of that nature. At this point now, I'm at like Reason 12 or something like that. Reason 11, somewhere off in there. And just working on things, right? And then one day I was sitting behind my computer. I was like, how do people get music on TV? Because I watch these shows and I hear all these dope beats, and I'm just like, how do you even do that? So I went and Googled and I asked the question. Then I started being involved with a certain individual before I met or started dealing with Clint. And I met, well, I started dealing with this individual, but it didn't seem right. It's like he always bragged about his cars, getting a house, all these things, and then it was astronomical how much you needed to spend just to get your music heard, like we do here in the hub. So I was just like, okay, so I'm starting to get disenchanted and things of that nature. But something kept pushing me, something kept pushing me, and something kept pushing me. Right now, I'm about to say something, and to this day, it still trips me out how I make music the way I make it. Um, because like I said, all I used to do was sample stuff back in the day, and I was good with that. Now I'm sitting down, I can figure out a couple of keys or chords here and there. I can put stuff in the right key. And now the music that I make sounds nothing like the music I made in the past. And it still trips me out because I can't tell you, oh, that's A flat or G major or whatever. I can't tell you that. You can tell me before I can tell you. And I'm just like, I know I sat there and I structured this, but how is it sounding? It's sounding like I wanted it to sound too, but I can't explain it to nobody. And I don't know if I'm the only one on the planet that's like that, but I really can't. If you listen to a track, you be like, "Heat, what key is that in?" Maybe, and that's it, you know. Um, but I'm here, and so the what I found, I started seeing Clint on Instagram, and he kept popping up in my feed, and he kept popping up, and I was just like, okay, well, let me click on this guy and see what he's talking about. And I saw a couple of his videos and things of that nature. And the way he explained stuff in the videos is the same way he explains stuff now, even during the live. And he makes it so simple and easy to follow. It's just like, well, wait a minute. If all I got to do is this and all that, now, trust me, this isn't an easy thing because I haven't gotten anything placed yet. I'm still working on my first 5 songs, but there's hope in this community. And looking at everybody with their wins and things of this nature, and you talk with people and you chat with people and you be like, congratulations. And my biggest thing too is just I love seeing people win. And so when I get my chance, I'm gonna celebrate it with everybody too. But this community feels like a community. And I know I've been doing a whole lot of talking. So what's the next question?
No, you're good. Before we started, Michael said that his wife was trying to tell him not to over explain things or something like that. How did she put it again? What was it?
We got
Going
a
around the
saying.
lawn?
So yeah, we got a saying, don't take me all the way around the corner just to go next door. And
Yeah.
so, that means, man, dude, you gave me all this detail when you could have just gave me this right here and we good, you know.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. I do want to say what's up to everybody who's in the chat so far. So Michael Connor music um also comes from kind of a gospel type of background as well. Zimzada as well. Yep. I know because I've interviewed all these people.
Right.
Jason Revels, we're gonna interview him next time. What's up,
Oh yeah.
Jason? Yep. And then Birdman Pro, we go way back. Tim Bird, he said he also doesn't know how to explain keys and all that kind of stuff, and he's been making music
Mhm.
for a lot of years. So don't feel
And
like
the
you're
funny
alone there.
thing, and the
Yeah,
funny thing in college, I did take music theory, right? And
yeah,
I was just like, okay, the circle of fifths and all this good stuff and all of that type of stuff, but that stuff is algebra, you know. It's just like I just want to sit down with these keys and be able to do something, and not have to give you a theory behind what I did. But now, those who can do it, I sit there all day and I'm just like this. And when you were explaining it, I'm just like, wow, you know what I mean? But I'm just not that dude. And I'm not going to say I don't have the potential because I have learned a lot of stuff within these last 4 years. Even the plug-in thing, it's just like, oh my goodness. One of my guys told me, dude, you need to step up your plug-in game to even uh 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 have some decent sounding music. And then I started researching and I'm just like, oh, really? So if I would have known this like 10, 15 years ago, I might be something right now more than what I am if I just knew how to employ these plugins and you know compressors, equalizers, and different little things here. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, wow. So I'm
yeah.
still in discovery mode, pretty much.
That's awesome. Well, luckily we have a lot of people in the chat here as well. So, meaning you're in discovery mode. You're putting your five together. You're, going to start reaching out to music super or music library soon. All of that. So I'm just going to ask everybody in the chat because we've all been in your shoes, right? We've all been like, okay, we got our music together. We're going to start pitching it. Um, Everybody in the chat, if you don't mind, just put your best piece of advice on. Remember when you were in that spot, what's something you wish somebody would have told you when you were putting
Mm.
your five together and sending it out? So maybe we can get some advice in the chat as well. Um, Before we see, so let's hop into one of your songs. So let's start with that. I have two here. I have Hope, Pain, Despair, Victory, and I have Smooth. Which one do you want to play first, and what do you want to tell us about it?
Go ahead with the Hope Pain. And do you want me to explain that first before you play it?
Either way, either way.
That song encompasses the last 4 or 5 years of my life. That's
Okay.
just as simple as that. And one funny thing about that is I did put it on one of our in one of our chats, and I briefly explained it, and then I can't remember who responded to it. They said that's exactly what I hear in that song.
Mm,
And I've always used to take stuff and give it titles, even though it might not belong to me. Um, and because of what I'm hearing, I'll say, oh, that's what that should be called, or that's what that should be called. And
Mhm.
and so when I put that song together, the song is actually about 3 years old now. And when I put it, and it's had different revisions, oh my goodness, my family's tired of it. But I've when I was putting it together, as I started incorporating the instruments, I started hearing that. I started hearing the hope, the pain, despair, and the victory all in that song. So
Okay.
go ahead and run it.
Alright, it sounds like a journey. So let me, here we go. Just gonna share the tab. Let's go. Hope, pain, despair, and victory. I was muted. Alright, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The old Jamaican DJ horn.
Yeah, I had to get that. I was doing this like, I don't know, with my mouth sound that just wasn't a DJ horn, so
Right.
not what I really
Mhm.
like about that, is, you kept it interesting. You kept dropping in new instruments, new melodies, strings, all of that. It was really good. We got some fire emojis. Feels good. Definitely hears anything with dialogue on top of that, so it's a good underscore track. Chill, evolving. You can hear the emotional arc of hope. Very dynamic. So a lot of good compliments coming to your way over here.
So let me tell you something about this. I was supposed to about 2 years ago. I started calling myself working on an instrumental album of of just instrumentals that I was going to upload to DistroKid and make a couple of dollars off of that, hopefully, right? And that was going to be on there. I wasn't even intending on this being one of the songs that I would try to pitch until I threw it into one of our chat boards, and somebody said, "Are you entering in that?" And then even my wife was like, "Yeah, you know what, you should." And then I think Clint actually heard it as well and told me I need to shorten it and make sure it's in the format or whatever. And
Mhm.
so that's how that's how now everybody is hearing it and things of that nature. It wasn't even intended to be one of those songs. And then the more I think about it, now let me tell you something else about the inspiration of this song. Uh, in the uh, in the late '80s, because yeah, I was in high school. I was in the 10th. I was in the 11th grade. Paul Hardcastle put out a song called Rainforest. It's a Planet Rock sounding beat. It's an instrumental. So even then, I was always a fan of just instrumental stuff. And this is what I consider my version of Rainforest. Um, because you have elements in there. I mean, I don't know what system you was playing. I can only hear it through my phone, but that thunder was coming through like crazy. I'm starting to look out my window to see if there's a monsoon or something like that happening. Because I was just like, I know I didn't have it that loud in the mix, but I guess, with the different dynamics of phones and devices and things of that nature, certain things are louder. And I
Yep.
was just like, man, I'm gonna probably have to turn that down. But when I listen to it here at the house, it's not that prevalent. You could hear it, but it wasn't as punchy as it was. So that storm or that thunder and that lightning in the background is to remind you that there's always a storm just waiting. But you have that hope and you have that victory, you know what I mean? That's going to
Mhm.
push you through. You're going to have the pain, you're going to have the despair, and you're going to have that storm as the reminder. And that's kind of why I believe I took it up at the end, to say, hey, look, see, going through all of that, there's still victory. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then at the same time, I'm a big old star. I'm a fan of Star Wars as well. So I don't know if that had anything to do with that, but when I watch the movies, it's just like, man, and you see the movies all the time and you know how it's going to end, but you always on the edge of your seat. Like, yeah, he about to get his arm cut off, but I'm gonna act like I don't know that. But and so I'm a big fan of John Williams as well. And I listened to his music throughout the years, The Towering Inferno, Star Wars, uh uh Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I've just loved how he scored stuff, and so that's it. That's it with that song.
Awesome.
Mm.
I'm gonna share some advice from, people in the chat.
Okay.
So, we have Zimzada starting it off.
Hmm.
What you think is not good is good to someone else, even a library. And a no does not mean stop pitching. Keep pitching even when you get a no. Yes, there's a yes on the way. That's absolutely true. I've definitely had some stuff placed, and I've been like, "That was my worst. That's the worst thing I've ever made." You think that way, right?
Right. And I've heard that in my music journey, like going up to Hollywood, going to record labels and things of that nature, sitting in there with people and always and you have your demo and they pick a song and you and your group sitting there like y'all like that song? And that's when I first learned what Zimzada said is, and I hope I said that right. But that's when I first learned that it don't matter. It kind of matter, but it really don't matter what you like because what they think is gonna work, what your family think is gonna work, what your friends think is gonna work, usually be the thing that work, and you be like, man, that's the most horrible thing I've ever done in
Mhm.
my life. But y'all like that, huh?
That's how it
You
works.
know?
It's all about capturing an emotion. As long as it has that emotion, that's what they're looking for to tell their story, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
yeah. Michael Connor Music, one piece of advice, be authentically you always. I have a feeling
Man,
you don't have a problem with that.
I used to. I used
Really?
to. Yeah, man.
Okay.
I didn't talk at all a lot, man. When I first started working, I started working at Circuit City in
Mhm.
Southern California, and I intentionally worked in an area where I didn't have to talk to you much, and that was the warehouse. You sign the slip, pick up your merchandise, have a nice day, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got into customer service where I started getting this whatever this gift of gab is, because now you got to talk to people.
Yep.
Now I used to tell people the best customer service training to ever get in your life is work at a Circuit City in Compton. That's the best customer service training you're gonna ever get. And so and now you grow you working there, but you also working with people you grew up with in the hood as well. And you just like, man, don't get mad at me. This is just policy. And so working at Circuit City, Best Buy, Fry's Electronics, all these places, man, and in sales and in customer service is I had to talk to people. And I think when that button got pressed, I never turned it off. And
Yeah.
you guys wouldn't notice that during the live streams because we're all in there talking and things of that nature. So um sometimes I even have to tell myself, man, don't let people talk. Just let people talk. Um and I think what it is when I get a passion about something or when I get passionate about something, that's when I get to talking. And one quick little small story. My two middle sons gifted me with a Father's Day gift to go to a Wu-Tang Clan concert out here in Phoenix. I'm in Tucson, so I had to drive up there,
Mhm.
right? And the first Wu-Tang Clan concert I've ever been to in my whole life. This was the final chamber. Uh yeah, I think that's what they called it, the final chamber or whatever, right? So before the concert started, my wife and I was there about an hour before it started in this doggone heat. And I'm sitting out there talking. All of a sudden, I look up and there's a crowd of about 5 or 6 people surrounding me because I'm giving them a story of everything I love about Wu-Tang and how I became a fan and how I became, a fan of hip hop. Period. And when they walked away, I asked my wife. I was like, I was talking too much, huh? And me, her. She like, yeah, babe. And so that's and it's only when I'm passionate about something. Now the other side of me is when I don't know something, I
Mhm.
clam up. Like now, this is my learning period. This is when I learn now. Just you shut up and just listen.
Yeah, well, you touched on something that I think's underrated for a lot of us in the hub. You are learning skills at your 9 to 5 that's going to help you with this sync thing. Like for you, it was coming out of your shell and talking music, right? Like there is probably skills that every single one of us are learning that you can apply later. So that's a good story.
Hmm, man,
Jason
I appreciate
Revels.
that.
Here's Jason Revels' advice: learning to stay consistent and encouraged when nothing seems to be moving. Just keep pushing. That is good. Yeah.
And man, that's my struggle now. Is like the past week, I started polishing up these 5 songs, coming home from work, making sure everybody's fed, the wife, the cats, everybody's taken care of. I go in and I start going in on my music and stuff. And that version of Hope Pain, yeah, Hope Pain, Despair, Victory is not even the version I had in the folder at first. I just revised it a couple of days ago. Um, I'm gonna tell everybody this. Here's my plugin. Here's my plugin game. I learned earlier this week about this plugin called Mixbox rather, not
Mhm.
Mixbox. Mixbox is a whole nother thing from anyway, IK Media. That's who that's from. But Mixboss is a free plugin. You place that bad boy on your master track and you top down mix into that bad boy. And and you A B it and you hear the difference immediately, even when you just first slap it on there. You automatically hear the difference. And it makes your mix so polished and clean and transparent sounding. That's some stuff I learned over the past 4 or 5 years, transparent, right? But it makes it sound so clean and it gives it punch and everything. Then on the
Okay.
master side, you got master plan. And I'm like, man, I used to load my tracks up with all these plugins, and these two bad boys are just one plugin and they're doing the job. So uh my shameless plug for companies I don't even work for, but those two things right there, those are my go-tos now, you
All
know.
right. Master Plan was the other one? Uh,
Master Plan was the other one, and I think now they even dropped that bad boy down to like 70, 80 something bucks. But Mix Boss is what was free at the beginning of this week. So go
okay.
go and see if it's still Mix Boss, all one word.
Yep.
But it's and
I'm goo
and that plugin has been out for years. I found out.
I'm Googling these and throwing them in the chat. Looks like it might be $18 now for Mixboss, just so you know.
Okay.
And then the other one, Yeah, to buy it forever is 120. Well, I'm in Canada though, so it might be giving me Canadian prices too.
No, that actually sounds right though.
Yeah,
That
okay.
actually sounds right.
Alright. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for that.
Mhm.
Alright, so, what's your have you started, so are you gonna add one more track for? Because I see there's 4 in your playlist here. Are you gonna add one more track and start pitching soon? What's your plan?
Yeah, that the other track that I kind of told you about earlier is in the right now it's in the stages where I'm game staging and getting all the levels set before I start mixing it and things of that nature. So I tried to do all the songs even kill like that. If I'm game staging this one, stop right now, go to the next one, game stage it, and bring them all up to the the same level. But sometimes different things happen and they end up in different stages. That's why those three, well, those four are kind of where I want them. I still need to put some more touches on them and things of that nature. And this one is kind of behind. But probably by the end of this weekend, I'll have it up to the level where, uh, put it this way. I even told my wife because she's like, even what's taking you so long? Um, in a couple of weeks, being able to get ready to have these songs where I could pitch them to somebody, you know, and hopefully somebody says, and I know with me it's gonna happen. Dude, we ain't interested in none of your music yet. Contact us in 6 months. But I'm gonna keep on like everybody has been, coaching and saying, in other words, don't put my eggs all in one basket. I already know that. So, and that's just from everybody's input. I've been seeing it. I'm like, okay, yeah, you don't. You keep on going. You gotta hit that pinata till the candy come out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have I have a question. I don't know, you'd be an interesting person to collaborate with your DJ skills, like doing mixing and scratching and stuff like that. That might be another avenue for you to take, like maybe collabing with people in the hub on, like sometimes briefs come over and they're like, we need it needs to be a house party and it needs to have, A's and B's and scratching and all that kind of stuff, right? And some producers
Mm-hmm.
like me have no idea where to even get started with that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you offered, like, that to anybody, like, as a collaboration opportunity?
No, and let me tell you why. Something recently just happened. Okay, see, here I go. I got stories, right? That's the
Yep.
whole reason why you interviewing me today because of what Philip did. Um, so I've had a pair of Technique 1200s since 1988 that I just sold about maybe about a month ago now. So I did that because times got hard for a brother. And I looked at those things and I was just like, man, I sure do not want to let you go. But in order to stay afloat, in order to do what I had to do as a man and take care of family, I had to let them go, man. And it hurt and it still hurts to this day. I was about to start asking people if they needed scratches or things of that nature, right? As far as a collaborative effort. But when that came up, I was like, well, I can't ask that question now. And so my latest work, as far as anybody that even want to reference anything, would be on a track that I did about 3 or 4 years ago. It's on YouTube with a Christian rapper out here in Tucson. Him and his wife, they're called Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, but the track is called Who Dat. Just like they say in Louisiana, WHODAT. And that's the last thing you will hear me scratching on for a while. Now, I do plan on trying to get me a controller within the next few months, but it's going to be a long journey before I get back to doing stuff on that side.
Okay. Cool. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, and there's emulators and stuff maybe in your DAW. What did you say you use? Reason? Was it Reason?
Well, yeah, I use Reason. I also have Luna and Cakewalk. And you so I make all my stuff in Reason though, and then I drop it over to Luna to sequence. Well, not even sequence because it's already sequenced, but to do all the compression and EQing and all that stuff, which I can do in Reason, but I just like dropping it in the Luna and acting like I'm working in Pro Tools or something, but I'm in Luna. So
It's all good.
you know,
Oh, I
but
got oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, emulation, If you ever want me to scratch, it's gonna be raw and authentic. That's I'm not going to cheat you. That's
All
that
right.
that's pretty much what it is, you know.
Awesome. Cool. That's good to know. That and with AI coming, um, the human touch counts a lot more, so that makes sense.
Right.
Jermaine Michael has some advice, and this is good advice here. Don't trick yourself with overproduction, brother. We can consume ourselves with the perfect mix, but the perfect mix doesn't exist. I think all of us have been guilty of um, doing like a perfectionist mindset that kind of stops you from actually taking action. You want everything to be perfect first. So that's some good advice from Jermaine there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I received that wholeheartedly because what tends to happen with me, and I'm gonna just say I'm the only person that this happens to. I'll get up on YouTube and see all these wonderful people saying, "Hey, yeah, I use these on this particular track here, and this summing tool, and you throw it on 8 different tracks, and now you have this tight bottom end and all this type of stuff." And
Yeah.
Jason, Joshua, all these people, right? And I'm listening, I'm eating this stuff up too, and I'm just like, "Yeah, man, I kind of got those plugins too. Let me see if that works." And then just recently, I promise you guys, within like the last month, just like, you know what? I think I'm doing too much. And here's what's funny. Clint in our Welcome to the Hub videos or whatever, he has a whole mix process laid out right there. And I went back and I watched it and I was like, you know what? I'm doing too much.
Yep.
I'm doing too much, man. You know,
Half of it's just sound selection and panning it right and left, That's half of it.
right? Right.
Yeah.
And that I learned years ago by going to different studios, and watching the engineers in there and all that type of stuff. So you talking about a journey that was 2-inch reel to reel, then the DATs, then the ADATs. You know what I'm saying? You see all of this come to fruition, and it's just like now you could just sit in a gaming chair in your own bedroom and do stuff that they were doing way back then. And you're not going to ever match analog the way analog was, because you had floor noise, you had all this different type of stuff that came into the mix.
Mhm.
But you can get real close now. you know an 18-year-old nowadays probably is not going to know the difference, but you, because your ears have been sonically trained throughout all the years, you can hear different things,
Mhm.
and be like, okay, that's that's what needs to be tweaked, or that needs to be left alone, or you better not cut that, you know that's gonna make your track muddy. So yeah.
Yep. Alright, so, I was gonna play Smooth next. So, what do you wanna
Okay.
tell us about that track? Anything you want us to know before we listen?
Smooth, as I even explained it in one of the lives, is that's that track where if in a reality TV show, somebody explaining something that's very drastic, and they're giving their side of the story, even, or something like that, but it's real heavy on them, and they're explaining what happened in that particular scene, or what happened in that episode, or something like that.
Alright. Let's play it. Little exposition, they're explaining what happened. Alright,
Mhm.
here we go, Smooth. Oh, wait, I did my melody, hold up. I clicked the wrong one. Here we go, Smooth. Let's go. All right, let's go. Smooth. Everybody is complimenting. Um, the mix is tight from Michael Connor music. Dope drums, relaxing, good vibes, lots of fire emojis. And I personally like the reverse piano you had going on in there, whatever that was, whatever that reverse sound was.
Man, you named that wave file exactly what it is. That's a I even called it reverse piano in the naming scheme.
Well, there you go. One difference between, like coming from a DJ background and, mostly you're like chopping, sampling, doing that type of stuff. One difference is if you do use a sample in sync, it has to be basically unrecognizable. Some people say
Mhm.
don't use any samples. Others say just chop it, mix it, flip it, do whatever, so it's not recognizable and it's definitely your work. That type of thing. Is that
Right.
something you've been kind of learning as you go, or when it comes
Well,
to that?
I knew that immediately, let me reverse engineer how I knew that. When I got back into making music, I started noticing all these emails and all these packs and all this stuff that said royalty free, right? And so I started noticing people were getting in trouble even with royalty free samples.
Mhm.
So I'm like, man, I'm really gonna have to play my music now for sure, because one thing I've always been afraid of and didn't want to even deal with in my supposed hip hop journey is being sued for a sample, you know, uh, because I've seen some stories like Sting, for instance, the way he has Puffy locked down on that sample,
That you're taking
that
take.
contributed. Man, it's like even if you breathe that track, I'm getting $1 million from you, you know. And so I've always been afraid of that. Now George Clinton told everybody, "Hey, you can sample my stuff. I'm not even going to trip," but you don't want to take that chance. And
Mhm.
so it forced me into learning how to play different things here. I'm not Mozart. I'm not Johann Sebastian Bach, but I could punch in a few things here and there. And the great thing about DAWs is that's exactly what you can do. You can
Yep.
sit there and punch in stuff. What might take somebody 5 minutes might take me an hour, but it's there.
Yep.
You
Step
know,
edit.
you know, and,
Yep,
and,
I
and
hear
so, which reminds me of how we used to do artists back in the day who couldn't get their lines. We have to punch them in, punch them in, punch them in.
you.
You know,
Yep, I hear you.
yeah.
I used to be in a singing group with Tim Bird, the Birdman Pro in the chat, and,
Oh, okay,
he used to have to punch me in from time to time when I just couldn't quite get it right.
right.
He knows all about punching us in.
That's dope. Hmm.
Alright. Cool, so to kinda close the show a little bit here, I started a new thing, I forgot we even did this, a new thing called Sink or Swim. So it's a little game show. I'm gonna ask you questions.
Uh
If
oh.
you There are 3 questions about sync music. If you get them wrong, nobody cares, nobody's gonna judge. It's all so we can learn a little bit more about sync and what it's like. So here we go. We're gonna hop right into Sink or Swim, and here's the intro video. It's not a very long video. Alright.
It was like a
Alright.
dramatic hit. Brrrr.
Yeah, that's all it is. Alright, sink or swim. So I'm gonna ask you a question and, make your best guess. So what is what is a published ballpark fee per track for international use of trailer music, according to Two Steps from Hell's Thomas Bergeson? So what about how much are you paying for an international use of a trailer, like trailer music? Um, A is 500 to 1,000, B is 2 to 3,000, C is 5 to 10,000, D is 50,000 plus.
When you first asked that question, 500 popped up into my head. So I'm gonna say A.
A, 500. Okay. The answer is C, 5,000 to 10,000 per track for trailers per a Los Angeles Times interview. All right.
But all right.
And that's upfront. That doesn't even count the back end fees.
Hmm.
The royalties. All right. So, which one of these is not a real type of sync placement? music in an airline safety video, music in a toothbrush commercial, music in a Netflix cooking show, music in a video game loading screen. Which one is not a sync placement?
I'm gonna have to say that the airline one.
That's what I would say too, but it's a trick question. They're all sync. They're all placements, and you get paid for all of those.
So wait a minute. Okay, go back to the airline one.
Yeah,
What type of?
in an airline safety video, you get
Oh,
royalties for being if your music is in an airline video, like an airline safety video.
okay,
Yeah, or even like those like corporate videos, training videos, those types of things.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it'll be a work for hire where there's not necessarily royalties to it, but you know, the airline safety video, that is a sync placement. All right.
So I'm 0-2.
Nah, you well, that one was a trick question. Nobody would have got that one right. I don't know why I put a trick question on here. I shouldn't have. All right, so how many years can a single sync placement keep earning royalties? So 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 10 plus, or only while the show is airing live?
There's no all of the above. There's no D, all of the above.
Nope. A, 1 to 2 years, B, 3 to 5 years, C, 10 plus years, D, only while the show is airing live.
I'm gonna go with A, 1 to 2 years.
It's a good guess. You're over 3. It's 10 plus years.
10 plus.
Because all those reruns, all the times it shows up in another, like, I'll give an example. There's a guy named Mike Post who did the theme song for, uh, oh, what is it? Law& and Order, right?
Hmm.
And that Law& and Order song
Wait, you
by
said Mike Post?
yeah.
I remember seeing that name reading credits. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. He's made over just for the chung chung, just for that part, he's made over $30 million, and
No,
for that theme
no.
song, he's made, like no.
2 notes? Just two
Yeah,
notes.
yeah, yeah. Isn't that crazy? Because
Soon
think
as
of
you
all
started, you saw me. I was shaking my head already. I was just like, whatever he's made off of that. No, that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's made millions and millions of dollars from
Mm.
just that one show. It's
And
crazy.
I guess what got me even about that question is because okay, so if 10 years in that question is the most, then what do you do about stuff that's in syndication?
That's what we're talking about. That's why it's 10 plus years.
Okay. Oh no. Oh, 10 plus years, not up to 10. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
10 plus. And you can keep collecting royalties even 70 years after you passed away.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, so your
And-
family could keep getting, those that money as well. I
Right.
don't know. A fun little game,
You
just to
know,
kind of put things in perspective.
that's
Uh,
pretty cool. Okay.
yeah. Cuz Jason Rebels was talking a little bit in the chat earlier about staying consistent and even when it's hard, it's really hard the first 2 to 3 years of building something, right? So
Mhm.
but that's why you're doing it because 'cause you're gonna have that money just, keep coming in and coming in and coming in.
That's the plan and that's the hope. And let me say this too about our community, the hub.
Mhm.
Um, everybody that has given advice and things of that nature, is one thing that keeps me as well. Because you're working with like-minded people, and you have seen major wins, people being placed and things of that nature, and nobody talks down on nobody else. um Everybody is just like, just keep going, just keep pushing, just keep doing your thing. And me coming from where I come from in life and things of that nature, I appreciate that. I learned that uh just looking at my what you would call spiritual gifts, exhortation is one of the highest. And I encourage people, no matter what. My arm could be on fire. You could be nothing wrong with you. And I'm sitting over there telling you everything's going to be all right. That's usually how I am with folks, and so to see other people like that in this community is just like, man, even this week when you started reposting that, uh, uh, spotlight, Michael, DJ Heat, Humphrey, and I'm looking at people in the chat talking about can't wait,
Yeah.
yes, and I'm just like, for what? For who? You know what I'm saying? I'm getting excited along with them. I'm just like, man, I want to see who this is too. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, they can't be talking about me because I've never done anything to have a name out there like that, but it's just the fact that people are willing to hear anything I got to say. I'm just like, well, wait a minute. Let me humble myself then and just get here and answer the questions and stuff because you know um I could say something that can help somebody, but more importantly, there's people that saying stuff that can help me, and I'm just like, that's what I come here for, that exchange, just
Yeah.
like, yes, you know,
Me
push that
too.
vocal up in 5K instead of, cutting it and see how it just flourishes over the track. And you get that type of information here and you're just like, oh, now it stands out, you know?
Yeah, there you go. Alright, well, it's been a pleasure, we're happy to have you in the community, and we're all grateful that we get to be part of something like this. If there was somebody naysaying or putting anybody down, Clint would kick them out so fast anyway, you know
Right, right.
it.
But I
Alright.
mean, I just appreciate all the encouragement though. Jason Rebels, man, he I've been noticing him on my radar over the past couple of months, and things of that nature, man. And just his presence is an encouragement. It's just
Yeah.
some of the stuff he says, and when you say some things, he be like right there, man. And he's not the only one. There's several people, man. And like I said, I just appreciate and I look forward to, and I even get upset when I can't come to certain live previews on Fridays and things of that nature. But there's life, you know what I mean? And it happens. So,
Yep.
but man, I appreciate the community. I love everybody in here. Trust me. Trust me.
Alright. Awesome. Any parting words? Anything you wanna say, before we call this interview, and then I kinda do the outro?
Um, I don't have any real parting words for for that sake, but I will tell everybody, even if you're doing your thing, keep doing it because you're an inspiration. You inspire me. If I inspire you, then that cool. But this whole community inspires me, and it's like I'm a kid in a candy store now because I can see the future, and I'm like right there. And with the tools that Clint has given us, man, I'm going to say utilize, listen to every piece of advice because everybody seems like they're for everybody else, and it seems like everybody wants everybody to win, and that's what I'm a part of. And trust me, when I get my turntables back, anybody that needs scratching, hit me up. We can talk.
Alright. Let's
You
go.
know,
That's awesome, that's awesome. Alright, so, for anybody who's watching this video that's not in the hub, and you're wondering what we're talking about, what community we're talking about, it's called the Sync Producer Hub. There is a link in the description of, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, just click on it and you can find out more. Basically, we are a bunch of music creators, a bunch of music producers who are getting our music into TV and film. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you want to start making a little bit of money from that music that's just sitting on your hard drive, go ahead and click that link and find out more. Michael, it's been a pleasure. Um,
likewise,
we'll see you in the hub. Any last thing you want to say before we go?
man. Everybody, just stay on your grind, and I'm talking to you and myself. Just stay on the grind. We're moving some stuff, and I just love it, man. I love the music that I'm able to make now, and share it with the world, and especially my hub folks,
All right. The next Sync Producer Spotlight, we're going to be shining it on Jason Revels in 2 weeks. So be
Can't
there
wait.
and